Hey everybody, it's Alexandra. Today I want to talk to you about binge eating, specifically my story with binge eating and adopting a high raw fruit-based diet. It has definitely been a struggle of mine for the past 2 years. So in August of 2016 is when I adopted a fruit-based diet to heal my candida and diverticulitis that I was struggling with at the time, and a bunch of other benefits. I knew that there were just a profound amount of benefits. So pretty much all at once I just switched to a fruit-based diet and saw incredible results immediately, like within the first day pretty much. I couldn't believe how good I felt. And even though I've known how amazing I feel when I eat fruit and just how delicious it is and how fulfilling it is, there have been a lot of emotional blocks that have kept me from pretty much taking care of myself in the best way that I know how to. And even though I'm very aware that the only reason I'm binge eating is because of emotional blockages, I still struggle with this so much. There have been times where I can go, 6 months, 8 months completely raw, just eating fruits and greens. But then I stumble, and then it is this huge, out of control spiral, just falling and falling and falling. It feels like it's never ending. As soon as I introduce some kind of junky food back into my diet, even if it is something like potatoes with salt, steamed potatoes with salt, it can just throw me off so hard, and I don't like those setbacks. This is something that I am very embarrassed to talk about, but after going to the Canada Fruit Fest and talking with so many other people and just learning that it is hard to eat just fruit, it is hard. And when you are eating just fruit and you're so mentally clear and there's not a lot of obstructions going on from outside factors like greasy, heavy foods or comfort foods or anything like that, you're not really turning to the foods for that numbing effect. Your thoughts become so much clearer. And then all of a sudden, things can hit you, and it's terrifying, it's scary, and it hurts. And sometimes when those emotions are so big and so heavy, that's when the binge eating kicks in. I know for me, so right before I transitioned to a raw foods diet, this was actually how I transitioned to a raw foods diet. I did a 10-day fast. It was water with lemon and cayenne, no maple syrup, just water, squeezed lemon, and cayenne powder. I did that for 8 days, and then I juiced for 2 days, and then I switched to a raw diet after that, but I still wasn't eating a lot of fruit. But during that initial fast, I had a bunch of traumas resurface. I was unable to really sleep at this point. It was day 6. I wasn't really able to sleep. I wasn't able to read. I wasn't really able to put any energy into anything, but I wasn't able to sleep either. So I had set up my hammock, and we were camping in the mountains in Colorado, and the only thing I could do was meditate. And I didn't really set out like, oh, I'm just gonna lay here and meditate. It's just kind of the only way I can explain what happened. I was just laying in my hammock looking at the sky, and a bunch of memories came up, and I didn't really attach any emotion to them. It was almost like a movie was playing, and I just was observing it, just, oh, that's interesting. But when this happened, I recalled that I had been sexually assaulted by 4 different people, just multiple times in my life, and kind of one by one these instances came up, and I was pretty calm when it happened at first, but then so that was in June, and then in July I had my first panic attack that I've ever had in my entire life, and that just scared me. It didn't really make any sense to me. I was kind of like, what's going on? I don't know how to control this. Like, I feel so out of control. I don't like this feeling. And I thought, okay, well, it's fine. Maybe it'll never happen again. But they kept happening. And so Brandon and I were out on a road trip, and we were in Colorado, and then we were in Wyoming when I had the panic attack, and then I decided I had to go home. I didn't know what to do. I didn't know how to process what had happened to me. I knew I wanted to talk to my sister, my mom, and my counselor. And so we decided to make the pilgrimage back home. And once I got home, that's when I adopted the fruit diet, and was feeling so amazing and so clear all the time. And my emotions were so intense. I was feeling things so intensely. Like, for the first time in my life, I felt like I was actually feeling things the way that they were supposed to be felt. So the good things, the joy, the happiness, and even the peace, and the calmness and the excitement, all of those things were like over the top, just feeling everything with every cell in my body. And I knew that it was because of the fruit just making me so clear and connected to my inner being and connected to the divine. I just felt so clear. So I was experiencing all of these incredible, amazing emotions that were just pure bliss and euphoric. But then on the flip, there were those insanely scary, intense, terrifying emotions. And I had no problem feeling those joyous emotions, the ones that would be so incredibly uplifting that they would bring tears to my eyes. I had no problem feeling those, and I loved feeling those. But the other end of that spectrum was so scary for me that I turned to food almost every single time, because I was having panic attacks so often at this point that I knew the easiest way for me to shut that down was by eating an insane amount of food, and raw food wasn't doing it. It didn't matter how much fruit I ate. It didn't matter, how big of a salad I ate. It didn't matter, like, it had to be dense food. So I would binge on pretty much anything that was vegan at this point. I remember the first binge I had since adopting the fruit diet was rice and refried beans that my mom had made. And my mama knows how to make some rice and beans, okay? I just used to love eating my mom's food. And that was another thing, like being in my mom's house. It just kind of hurt my heart because she always made, and she still does, make incredible food. And I couldn't really eat it, and I felt like I was restricting myself. So when I would binge, I would go in. Oh my gosh, I would eat whatever. Like, I remember though, eating that first binge of rice and beans, I ate, just huge containers until it was completely done. And like my sense of feeling full like wasn't even there at all. It was the strangest thing ever. And then immediately after, the thought of just like, what have I done? I have to get this out of my body. I'm so like, what did I just do? I don't even want to eat this. Like, this is going to set me back on my healing journey. This is going to further disrupt my colon, which I've spent so much time healing and working on. And I don't even want this food in my body. Not that rice and beans are the worst thing that you can eat, but at that point I was in such a fragile state trying to heal my colon of diverticulitis and IBD. I knew I didn't want that food in me. And so it was half emotional, kind of like this anxiety driven, like, what have I done? I seriously just screwed myself. Like, this is going to kill me. This is going to hurt my body so much. And then it was also feeling so sick. It was also feeling like, oh my God, I feel so ill right now. And I went and tried to make myself throw up. And that was the first time I've ever done that in my entire life. And I was able to purge a little bit, but definitely like not a lot. And I did feel very ill after it. And so I said, like, I don't even know what just happened. This is so crazy, but I'm never going to let it happen again. That's never going to happen again. Like, it didn't even taste that great. Like, that wasn't even that fulfilling. Like, it makes me feel this way. Why would I eat something that makes me feel so terrible when I know that eating fruit and eating raw makes me feel so incredible? And so I told myself it'll never happen again. I told myself it'll never happen again. Probably, I don't even know how many times, I don't even know how to equate how many times I've said it will never happen again. From there, it really spiraled out of control. It just became this huge block in my life. And I was able to recognize that if I let the panic attacks happen, or if I let the emotions come up, if I just feel whatever's going on in my body, I don't have to turn to food. but I never wanted to acknowledge those emotions. They just hurt so bad. And I want to say I don't think I blame myself, just based on what actually happened to me and what I recalled, and just what I kept suppressed for so long. It wasn't that I forgot, it was just that I didn't want to think about it. I didn't want to think about it. I didn't want to think about it. You know, anytime something would remind me of that, anytime something would come up, even if I would start to remember it a little bit, I would just kind of shake my head and say, oh, I don't even want to think about that. I don't want to think about that, you know. And I'm sure we've all been there. You know, it doesn't have to be like a huge life-changing event, but, you know, we have things that have happened to us or things that we've done that are kind of shameful or embarrassing, and it's pretty natural for our minds to just push it away. You know, we don't want to think about it. It's kind of like a protection mechanism, but the more you do that, the worse it becomes. And so that's what I was doing for years and years and years and years. You know, the oldest memory that I have of relating to any kind of sexual trauma, I was 9 years old. So that's a long time, from 9 to 21, you know, just burying that, suppressing it, and not letting that come to the surface. That is going to wreak havoc on your mind and your physical body. And I'm fairly certain the reason that I have IBD has to do with these traumas that are so deep-seated and I never worked through them. And so that stress can seriously eat your body up. It can seriously cause such damage. And that's what I unknowingly was doing for so many years of my life. And that is why I'm working so hard now to reverse all of that, because I don't have to live this way, you know? I went through that, and I believe in the body's ability to heal. And so that is what I'm trying to do right now, just reverse all of that damage that I've done, whether it be stress, whether it be food, you know, whether it be sleep, just all of the things. My body is a powerful healing machine, and if I give it all the things that it needs to heal, it will heal. And I've already seen so many amazing, wonderful, beautiful results just eating fruit, incorporating some fasting into my life, and reducing a ton of stress. The whole binge eating thing is something that I do still struggle with, and this video was definitely one that I've tried to make a bunch of times. Every time I go to record it, I just feel like kind of like a hypocrite or something, trying to talk about something that I haven't quite mastered yet. But I also think that there's so much beauty and vulnerability and just sharing your story and not knowing the answers, you know. I don't think you have to know everything or know the right answers or know what to say or be perfect, you know, or have it all figured out before you can share your story. I think there's so much power and strength in just saying, hey, this is me, this is what I'm going through, this is something that I'm struggling with, I don't really know what to do, but we can figure it out together, you know. If you have ever struggled with something like this, do not hesitate to reach out to me. Leave a comment. You can get a hold of me privately through my Instagram, or you can email me. Let's talk, you know. I reached out to Erin Volentine. She's incredible. I will leave her stuff linked below. She has so much information on binge eating. She has really helped me a lot, and her personal coaching has been wonderful. And I'm really glad that I finally reached out, you know, instead of feeling like I have to do this on my own and, oh, there's nobody that understands me and I just have to kind of keep this to myself. The minute that I started reaching out and finding resources and finding people, it seems like more people came to me. So it started with Erin. A couple months later, I got to go to the Canada Fruit Fest, which was just last weekend. I met all these amazing people, and they eat high fruit diets, if not completely raw, and they have either struggled in the past with binging, or they're struggling currently with just numbing, or just not fully loving themselves and turning to food to fill some kind of void. And I always thought that was just me, you know, or I knew that people struggled with it, but it seemed kind of like anywhere I looked online, people had already overcome it. And so I just thought, like, I'm weak, you know, I don't know, I can't do this, like there's something wrong with me. But meeting people in real life, getting to talk to people, making friends, and just like sharing that connection of like, I'm struggling too, is so powerful and moving and beautiful. Just that feeling of not being alone is just so empowering and so uplifting. If you're struggling, feel free to reach out. You don't have to know the answers, you don't have to know what to do. Being aware is a beautiful thing, and that is the first step to healing, always being aware. And if you're watching this video, you're probably aware. So thank you so much for watching, and I'm sending you all of my love, and we'll figure this out. You know, every day is a chance to love ourselves as fully as we can, and if we don't do it right that day, you know, there's always another day. You know, there's always time to do everything you want to do, and just life is always a process and progress. You know, I have tried to detach from perfectionism as much as I can, even though that is another thing I struggle with. I hope that you got something from this video. Thank you for watching. Feel free to like, share, comment, subscribe, get a hold of me. I'll see you next time.